A thread by Thomas Wichter at social.quodverum.com for What About. You wrote a very important thread that everybody should read. I'll just add a point. A lot of people think that if they can't know exactly what's happening second by second, they have to give up and have faith. In reality, all you have to do is learn just enough to understand the broad strokes. I'd guess that almost 100% of Trump's supporters never bothered to research him. It's because none of the people from whom they take their cues told them to do so. They also don't know anything whatsoever about our military capabilities. I don't know all the details of what happened, but I know that it was something along the lines of my theory. You hear people talk about Project MK Ultra, but they don't know that it was an attempt to create successful interrogation techniques, nothing more than that. People choose to believe wildly improbable horseshit rather than truth, which is much more exciting and mind-blowing than any fictional scenario. And these people can't be reached. Have you noticed that adrenaline junkies are all extremely boring people? That's because all they care about is the adrenaline rush of extreme sports and stunts. Conversation doesn't interest them, so they have no conversational skills. They sound borderline retarded. Fear addicts are the same. They're addicted to adrenaline and cortisol. That means that there's no point in trying to mollify them. They live to be afraid. I just heard two idiots on the radio talk about the 4,000 armed militiamen who are going to try to keep the House from impeaching Trump. Sure. During the state of emergency that Trump declared. And then they brought up civil war. Nobody knows the definition of a civil war. And if storming the Capitol building was an attempted insurrection, why was nobody charged with attempted insurrection? Critical thinking is almost non-existent now. Trump is one of the greatest critical thinkers of all time. But since almost none of his supporters have that ability, they will never be able to perceive him as he is. Our country began slipping terribly after the Korean War. The good news is that none of Trump's enemies can engage in critical thinking, so defeating them is like taking candy from a baby. But it's annoying to see such weakness everywhere. There's no excuse for mental slovenliness. If you practice anything for 10,000 hours, you can master it. That's 417 days if you were to do it 24 hours a day. So divide up 417 consecutive days and nights into a manageable schedule. Anyone can master critical thinking. But virtuosity is now stigmatized in everything except sports. I love any kind of virtuosity. It doesn't make me envious or feel bad about myself. The reason that Trump is more successful than Reagan is that Trump understood that we had to hit bottom. We had to have our terrible choices ground into our faces. Reagan allowed people to remain passive. Trump demands that we improve or go extinct. I approve. Doing a live stream, 8 p.m. Central tonight. We'll be talking about MAGA, fake MAGA, real MAGA, people who are just after money. To donate to Quodverum, quodverum.com/support us to support this channel. Links in the description.
I will be the greatest president that God ever created.